Konnichiwa, I'm John Hornick. Welcome to my Japanese Faves series where we'll cover every major type of Japanese food. This is the introduction for two different lessons, Kabayaki 2, charcoal grill or Konro, and Kabayaki 3, saute pan. My Kabayaki 1 lesson uses a gas grill. Kabayaki is a type of yakimono, which means grilled food. It's usually made with oily fish such as unagi, which is eel, sardine, mackerel, or pike. In the US, salmon, bluefish, or white anchovy, aka Boquerones, are good candidates. The fish most commonly used for kabayaki is eel, or unagi in Japanese. The fish is portioned into small, roughly square or rectangular boneless fillets that are skewered, grilled, and brushed with a thick, sweet sauce while grilling. The sauce, or tare or dare, I've seen it written both ways and they both sound essentially the same, is made with shoyu, sake, mirin, and sugar, and sometimes the sake is omitted. Traditionally, the grilling happens over charcoal on a konro or shichirin, something like what we call a hibachi in the US. But kabayaki is also sometimes grilled over other heat sources or broiled. All the recipes I've seen in the US for kabayaki saute the fish in oil. I won't be doing it that way because it's less traditional. In Kabayaki 1, I use a gas grill and skewer the fish. In Kabayaki 2, I use a very special type of Japanese charcoal called binchotan and skewer the fish. And in Kabayaki 3, I saute the fish in a cast iron pan without skewers. Kabayaki is often served over a bowl of rice, which makes it a don or donburi. Unagi over rice is Unadon. What's the difference between teriyaki and kabayaki? They're both very similar. Both names refer to a method of cooking and a sauce. The teriyaki, in teriyaki, proteins like chicken or fish are brushed or dipped with a shoyu-based sweet sauce during cooking to make the surface shiny. Teri means shine. Kabayaki is basically the same, but the term refers more to a grilling method for fish rather than the surface appearance, where the boneless fish are skewered and grilled over an open flame and brushed with the sauce. So let's start cooking.
Okay, now this lesson is going to be Kabayaki 2. Now Kabayaki 2 is about as close to the way Kabayaki is done in Japan that we can get to in the United States. And what we're using for the cooking is a Konro, which is a clay pot basically, and it has an inner clay pot that holds the charcoal. The charcoal is called binchotan. It almost feels like metal when you handle it. It has kind of a shiny finish, and it burns very hot, almost smokeless, and very clean. And after you use it, you can extinguish the fire and then you can burn it again. It's very expensive, but this is a charcoal that comes from Japan. This is what's used traditionally to make kabayaki in Japan. Now, the way you use this konro is that we take the outer pot and we're going to put water in that, okay? And then we're going to put the part of the pot that has the binchotan charcoal, we're going to put that on a flame. So I'm going to light this flame, and we're going to put this over the fire, and we're going to try to, as the fire comes up through these holes, we're going to try to get the charcoal to light. Takes a while to get it lit, but once it lights, it burns a long time and it burns very hot. Okay, so you may have to move it around over these holes a little bit until you get it to light. That can take a little while. Now, one thing I should mention about this is that you should do it outside. Now, I am doing it inside because I've done this before, but until you become accustomed to this, you should do it outside. You should also have excellent ventilation. Open a window, have a fan going, preferably do both. Now, in Japan, this is served in a restaurant. You'd be in a restaurant and you'd either be at a counter where this konro, this grill, is built in, or they might bring one to your table. And they have good ventilation, which is pulling out any fumes. I have good ventilation here, which is pulling out any fumes. They also have a window open. But you should do it outside until you become experienced with it, and you may never want to do it inside. The other thing you want to do is you want to put the screen over it. You might get a couple of sparks here and there. Keep a close eye on it, and by putting the screen over it, you're going to hopefully arrest any sparks that might come out of it, which is another reason why you should do it outside. Now we're going to do the shimofuri technique, and we did shimofuri in Kabayaki 1, And I'm going to explain what it is before I do it. I have boiling hot water here, and I'm going to douse the fish with the water. Just douse it. They're over a little rack in a baking pan, so the water can just run past them. They won't be soaking in the water. And then as soon as I douse them with the water, I'm going to plunge them into this ice bath to stop the cooking. What does this do? It reduces the fishy smell and it freshens the flesh of the fish. Okay? Now, so what we're going to do is douse them with the hot water and then put them immediately into the ice bath. Okay, that is the shimofuri technique. Okay, now we're going to pat the fish dry and skewered. And for anybody who's watching very closely, you may have noticed that I have one more piece of fish here than I had when I did the shimofuri technique. I missed one, and I went back and did that separately. Okay, so we're going to just pat these dry, and then we're going to skewer them. I'm actually only going to skewer one because I'm only going to do one on camera, and I'm going to do the rest at dinner. So we're just going to pat them dry. Now you also know that I don't use many paper towels. I am making an exception tonight. Usually I'll just use kitchen towel and then wash them, but I realized that I didn't have any clean ones, so we're using paper towels this evening. Okay, nice, pat them dry. Okay, now we're going to take them and take one and skewer it, and we're going to use 2 skewers. I'm going to go end to end. Ideally, you don't want the skewer holes to be noticeable when you serve the fish, so you kind of have to look at the piece of fish that you have and decide where you're going to put the skewers. I'm going the long way here. Okay, and why do you use 2 skewers? If you have 2 skewers, it's easy to chain it, turn it over, and control it. If you have 1 skewer, it can twirl on the skewer. All right? Okay, we're going to take this one piece as an example for the video. We're going to brush both sides, or all 4 sides I should say, with some olive oil. All right, and then we're going to season with a little sea salt, just a very light sprinkle of sea salt or kosher salt. Okay, and then just a little bit of freshly ground black pepper all around. Okay, now we are ready to cook. All right, now we can see that our charcoal is lit, it's white, it's burning hot. We're going to turn off the stove that it's on, and we're going to move the upper part of the Konro with oven mitts. We're going to move that over to the part of the Konro that has the water in it. Okay, let's shift that camera over there so we can get a shot of that. Okay, so there we go. So as you can see, this is the Konro bottom here that has the water in it, and the top part that has the charcoal on it is sitting down in the water. Okay, now we're going to put our fish over the charcoal, and we're going to grill it on each side for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. You're going to keep an eye on it. If it looks like it's starting to get cooked, that's when we're going to turn it over. All right, now we've been 2 minutes on one side. We're going to turn it over and do about 1 minute more. And then we're going to start brushing it with the Kabayaki sauce, which you should already have warmed. Now, the way I'm doing the warming is I put it in this little pot, and I have the Kabayaki sauce in a glass jar, and the glass jar is sitting down in a little pot full of water. It's been on warm, very, very low on the stove. And my Kabayaki sauce gets kind of thick when it gets cold. So if yours doesn't, you don't really have to heat it up like this, but most of them do. So if it gets thick when it gets cold, you want to warm it up so it's flowable and brushable. And so that's what I've done. I put it in this little pot, heated it up still so it's liquid, so it's easily brushable. Now we are coming up on 1 minute on this side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to brush one side of the fish. So I'm going to brush it all around here with the Kabayaki sauce, and we're going to turn it over and let it cook on that side for about 1 minute. And while it's cooking, we're going to brush the side that was facing down that hadn't been brushed. Okay, so we're going to just let it cook on this side for about 1 minute. All right, so it's been 1 minute. We're going to turn it over and let it cook on the other side for about 1 minute. And while that's starting to cook, we're going to brush this side with the Kabayaki sauce. Okay, it's been a minute. We're going to turn this over and we're going to cook it on this side again. And we're going to brush it with the Kabayaki sauce. Okay, it's been 1 minute. We're going to turn it over and let that side cook another minute. And then and while it's cooking, we're going to brush this side with Kabayaki sauce and let that cook for about 1 minute. Okay, it's been 1 minute. We're just going to turn it over this one more time. Let that go 1 more minute. Okay, it has been 1 more minute. Now, what I'm going to do is a little bit different from the way you should plate it. What you should do is remove the skewers, serve it over rice, and then take your brush and just drizzle a little bit of the sauce over the top. Also, you would normally garnish it with some Sansho pepper, maybe some very thinly sliced scallion or some nori flakes, or some sesame seeds or furikake. I'm doing things a little bit differently tonight, and you can see photos of the final dish at my Instagram, which is at Chef's Apprentice, Cook Like a Pro. What we're doing tonight is we're going to cook all of these other ingredients as a group process. And so we have here, let's see if we can get this on camera. We have here some sweet potato that's been blanched, so it's already kind of soft. We have some scallions that have been sliced, some asparagus sliced, and some radishes and onions that have been sliced. Shallots that have been sliced. These have all been tossed in a little olive oil and salt. We also have some Sansho pepper here and some togarashi, a little bit of sea salt. And we're gonna grill all of these on this Konro, and then we're going to eat them piece by piece in a communal way. So, as I said, you can see photos of the final dish at my Instagram, which is at Chef's Apprentice, Cook Like a Pro. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.